In a world often riddled with division, that feeling of more stands as a beacon of unity and understanding, honoring the rich tapestry of human experience. Embark on this transformative adventure with Alana as she reveals the hidden depths of our collective spirit and awakens the limitless potential residing within each one of us. Join Alana as she journeys alongside others who have embraced voice within. Get ready to be moved, uplifted, and forever altered as you uncover the essence of the soul's journey, guided by the insightful and compassionate Alana Green.
Hey everyone, I'm just so glad and happy to welcome you all back to that Feeling of More podcast. And I'm so excited to have my friend Elizabeth Plancon here with me today to do a bit of an interview of her story and her journey. And I'm really excited to share this story of awakening with you. And yeah, I would just love to just dive right in. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Elizabeth is a intuitive mindset and manifestation coach and healer, and I'm so excited to have her on here to share this story. So Elizabeth, just tell me a little bit about you and your background and where you started.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Plancon, and I'm an intuitive mindset manifestation coach and healer. And I'm also an international best-selling author and co-wrote a book called Manifesting with Purpose. Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today. So how did I start? So I was in a career. I was working with my mom since college, so it had probably been like 14 years. And I was slated to take over her company. Like, when she retired, I was going to be the boss and was going to be pretty well paid, and it was all set up. But I just started to have this feeling like, yeah, there's something else. There's something more you are supposed to be doing here, and this isn't it. So I just, I didn't know what it was at the time. And I just started to open myself up to being like, okay, well, it's something else. And then I got the feeling it's something to help people, but still not really sure, what it was. And then this was about in 2020, as we all know, the world shut down. And I started to just go inward and study and read books. And I hadn't really done that before because I never really had the energy or time. And I had always been drawn to the spiritual world, like spirituality, psychics. I've always been intuitive, like known I've been intuitive. I always had a friend in my life and like that was older, that was a psychic in some form or another, and had tarot cards, like played with them a little, but never really was able to like hone in on it and like sit down and actually develop my psychic abilities or my spirituality. And then we started to go to a church called Unity, which is definitely more of a spiritual based church. It's not really religion. And they were meditating in church. They were talking about manifestation and all these things and God being within us. And it really started to open up my awareness and my, this feelings inside to actually take the time to go inward and develop my gifts. And so one thing led to the next on Facebook, as those ads pop up, and
Right.
I found a book about manifestation, read it, loved it, wanted to do more. And I then found my first mentor, which was a psychic development teacher, and decided hey, let's do this. Like, what better time than now when I've got nothing else to do and nowhere to go than practice developing my gifts. And so I took a program with her for about 6 months and really just honed in on my spirituality, learned really about my spirituality, developed it, learned about my intuition, developed my gifts, practiced readings, learned how to meditate, like, and actually, I was always one of those people that said, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. Like, and I hear it all the time from people, right? But I just allowed myself to practice because, that's what meditation is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing the readings and it's fun, but I really felt like something was missing. Like there was a piece of it missing. Like, this isn't it. Like, you're not there yet. This isn't your sole purpose yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it, but not all of it. So I just kept doing my thing. And the next thing I know, I see a TikTok with Kathleen, and she's holding a free class about manifestation. And I was like, cool, I want to learn more about this and how to do it. Signed up for her class, signed up for her program. And shortly after learning the material, I started to transform. And I was just so in love with the mindset work and manifestation that I was like, this is something that, I would love to share with others. But as you said, like, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to like not really understand what I'm talking about. Like, how do I even do this? How do I help other people? And then shortly after, it was probably like a few weeks later, Kathleen had said, we need more people to teach this. We need more people to spread this information. And I have a coaching program. I was like, ding, 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 ding. Like, there it is. And I just knew that was, my purpose. So I did it. I became, a certified coach. And now I'm really just embracing both my spirituality, my psychic gifts, my healing abilities, and my coaching, and incorporating it all in one to help people, learn all of these things to help them live a more peaceful and happier life while creating the life they've always wanted, right? Like how we have learned to do. So that is a little bit of my backstory and how my coaching and this, venture came to be.
Oh, I love that. There's so many pieces in here that are just such a beautiful story, and like where you had seen the breadcrumbs, the like things that just kind of pulled you towards, and you followed those things. So I'm super, super proud of you for doing that, obviously. But when you talked about your soul's purpose, so now that you've gone through some of this, actually, let me back up a quick second. So what do you feel is the thing that really kind of connected you with that awakening and the spirituality? I know you've had a lot of it throughout the experience, but what was the like, was there a specific thing that you could kind of pinpoint that would be the one thing that kind of led you to this idea?
I mean, as far as like getting what I'm supposed to do, it was like a light bulb moment, right? Like both times. I was, in meditation for probably a couple months, being like, what am I supposed to do here? Just tell me. A little, about what the spirituality thing is, like we all have a spirit team, right? We all
Yeah.
have guides and angels that guide us through this journey and give us messages. And especially when we ask for that guidance and messages and we listen, we will get an answer. So I would go into meditation setting the intention, being like, what am I supposed to do here? And finally one day I heard teacher leader. And I was like, oh, okay, but about what? And so,
Hmm.
yeah, so it was following those breadcrumbs to show me the way, and all in divine timing when I was ready to open my awareness and accept them. But it really, I think, a lot of people hate, 2020 and the shutdown and everything. But for me, it was a blessing in disguise because it gave me the opportunity to slow down
Yeah.
and really go inward and look at my life and really analyze where I was at in my happiness and my stress level and what I wanted to change about it, right? And so it is really a journey, I would have to say. For me, it wasn't just like one exact moment, but there
Yeah.
was a moment where I remember going to an angel communicator and having a reading done. And she kind of was just like, you're gonna lead people one day. And I was thinking like, oh, okay, like sure, whatever. Like, you mean in like my mom, like the job that I'm supposed to have, um, and I didn't really mean anything until like I remember when I finally admitted it to myself. I was sitting I was in Kentucky visiting my best friend who has a horse farm, and we were sitting on her front porch, and I'm just looking at this vast, like she has acres and hills, and I'm just finally
I
said
love
to
it.
her, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm pretty sure, I'm 90, like 85% sure that I'm not supposed to be I'm supposed to be doing something else in my
Hmm.
life. Don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure. Only at 85% at that point, but it was the first time I actually admitted it to anybody, though.
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things, like you said, like that first it started with that feeling of more, there was something else. And then it just kind of this knowing came upon you, I think. Like we get to this point where we don't even, because I had the same thing when I was started this podcast and I was like that feeling of more, and I'm here to raise the voice. And what does that even mean? Like we have this point that kind of just, we get this download, knowing, understanding, whatever you want to call it. And just like you said, it just was like, you don't need to even know 100%, but you just follow the feeling and it kind of
Right.
leads you in the right path or the message, the divine.
Right, right.
Right.
And I have learned that patience is one of my life lessons because
Mm-hmm.
for me, like, as my psychic development teacher used to say to me, she's like, "You want to know everything, write the blank now." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." I'm like, "I want to know like it all." And but life is a journey and we're not supposed to know it
Yes, it is.
all at once, right? Like that's how you grow and experience and enjoy. We're supposed to enjoy the ride. So unfortunately you just don't get to know. I mean, it's not unfortunately, I don't even like to use that word anymore, but
Mm-mm.
it's just, yeah, it's just following the path and listening to your intuition and surrendering, right? Like surrendering to what it is that your spirit's trying to tell you and the direction to go.
Oh, this is so good. And I love that you said life is a journey, enjoy the ride. That's totally my slang, my saying. I love
I
it.
know it is, that's
It's
right.
so good. You talked to about, and I fully believe as well, like you said about 2020, like that, I believe, I 100% believe that happened for the collective consciousness on purpose. That shift happened for a reason so that we can continue to have this growth and awakening. And could you have asked me that back in 2020 and I say that now, I would have been like, you're crazy. Again, coming back to that saying, but it's so obvious now that there's a shift that's happening. And that was just the catalyst that started the journey for so many of us, I think, to create that shift. You talked about your soul's purpose. What do you feel like that is now?
I feel like it is to like be a light for others and help them see the light in themselves and their abilities. And it has really, even over the past few months, it's shifted in a way too. Like I was certain that I kind of had put my psychic abilities to the side a little bit in last year and really was focusing on the mindset and manifestation coaching. But this year has really shown me that so many people are craving this this leadership into the spirituality because it could be a scary thing to do on your own or like you don't
Yeah.
like we'd say like am I crazy? How do I even do this? Or, and I had someone show me, and I'm so grateful for that, right? It wasn't on my own. So I really do feel like my soul's purpose is to help lead each other to this divine feeling and knowing that God is in with all of us. And I always say God, universe, spirit, source interchangeably, right? This
Hmm.
higher power. It's in with on all of us. And I've been just getting so many confirmations lately about this, like with being connected to the divine and being that sort of spiritual teacher, I guess,
Hmm.
is my purpose here. It's been really fun lately.
Oh, that is so good. And what you said, like just being that spiritual leader and having somebody say, that this is okay, because it's interesting that if you look at society right now, there's people seeking. There is like, spiritual TikToks are off the charts. Like there's so many people seeking this opportunity and seeking this understanding of themselves. And that's what this really is our soul reaching out and asking for that purpose. And what is that connection within, as opposed to looking outside of us and looking for material things and all these different things. But it's part of that journey. Like you said, we have to go through this journey of understanding and knowing that there's more to it than just the things outside of us. It's actually our soul seeking the oneness within ourselves. So this is so
I
so
love
good.
that.
And you
So
said
good.
but when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that you'd kind of put a feeler out in your community to see what people are looking for. So what did that come up with?
So I was trying to figure out what my next master class was going to be on. I host free master classes every so often, and I had been doing them on mindset and manifestation. And I just put a poll out like, what would you like me to teach on next? And the options were mindset, manifestation, or spirituality and connection, like connection with
Hmm.
source. And the one time I looked at it, it was at 75% people wanted spirituality and connection. And then it ended up being like 50, I think
Hmm.
50% wanted me to teach on this. And I was like so actually surprised because my group, originally I had spirituality and then I changed it to mindset and money manifestation. And I'm going to change it back to it's very shortly soon here to incorporate the spirituality aspect in the name of it again. But I do card pulls in my group and I talk about spirituality in my group. And so for me, that was like, I was like, all right, fine. That's what you guys need and want. I am happy to serve, right? And teach you that. And I came from a place of just having fun with it, right?
Yeah.
And just really enjoying what I was teaching. And I just jammed on it for like an hour and had a really good response. And same thing with Spirit. Like I asked Spirit, okay, what am I supposed to come out with next? How can I serve people in my coaching? And it kept coming back to teaching about spirituality and
Mhm.
connecting. And so that's what I'm doing next is a 6-week program on exactly that, connecting within and learning about all the different aspects of spirituality and intuition and the tools that we can use that can help us. So I'm super excited about that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Love it. Excited to see more of that. But I'm curious, if you could share, if for people that are just trying to figure out what that intuition, what that's like that, because you talked about a couple of times about hearing something and getting a message. How do we know what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question because a lot of us sometimes we just think our brain's talking to us or, or we're crazy or whatever. It's monkey mind, right? And it really for me was practicing paying attention to what is intuition and what is my ego. So, it's quieting your mind, trying to just let all the thoughts float away and asking if you need guidance or a question. What is that comes through. And for me, and what I truly believe, the first answer that you get in your head is your intuition talking to you, is your higher self coming through, right? Like the messages that you're supposed to receive. And then everything after that is kind of like your ego, which is our
Mhm.
learned, behavior, our learned experiences. And I'm not saying the ego is bad at any means, like the
No,
ego keeps us safe. It tells you to run out of a building if it's burning, but it
exactly.
also tries to keep you safe.
Hmm.
So, it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't have you take risks. It wants to keep you comfortable. But as you and I both know, growth happens in being uncomfortable in that
Yeah.
challenge. So, it really is learning how to tap into that power and how to separate your ego from your higher self and your intuition and being able to ask for the guidance when you feel like you need it and listening to those intuitive hits that some of us get so often when you're randomly taking a shower or cooking or and you get this weird idea in your head. Pay attention to those are your intuition coming through when kind of like your guard is down, right? When you're in a
Hmm.
relaxed state of mind and no real stress, your intuition's like, oh, I can get through to you now, so pay attention to this. So listen to those ideas that or those thoughts that just randomly pop into your head out of the blue. Those are really important, and that's your intuition talking to you.
Ah, I love that. That is such a good point and good way of putting it. Because, like you said, when your guard is down, when you're relaxed, and it's just the thoughts that come in that you didn't create consciously, and
Right.
it's that knowing you're like, oh, that makes sense, or that click of like that moment of just like, oh, okay, and you're like, I don't understand where that came from. You didn't consciously
Yeah.
think it. It's allowing those thoughts to come through and listening to them. I love that. So Elizabeth, how would somebody get a hold of you if they
So
were
you
looking for
can,
you?
yeah, I mean, I'm on social media, like all the platforms under my name, Elizabeth Plancon, just that. You can go to my website, elizabethplancon.com, and I have my links on there too, or you can email me from there as well. But my website and social media are the best place to find me.
Fabulous. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on today and just sharing your story, sharing some of your heart, your journey, and sharing the opportunity for people just to see what is possible through you. And thank you so much for your time today and being here. And yeah, thank you so much. It's been beautiful having this conversation.
Oh, yes, so good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, beautiful souls, for joining us today on That Feeling of More podcast with your host, Alana Green. We'd love to invite you to connect with Alana and our guests at lifeisajourneycoaching.com. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can join us on our next journey of awakening.